Saxon Algebra 1 half lesson 80. Dun, da, da, da. Turning over to a new, I was going to say decade of problems. I'm not sure, but you know what I mean. Our topic today is increases in percent, and it's a spin on our frickin' formula problems. Right? This is the basic formula we'll be using to work these problems. And we know that there are two kinds of these problems. If the percent is less than 100, then we get a situation where your mom dumps a bag of Skittles on the table, and then she tells you that you get, 25%. And so you divide the Skittles to get your share, right? The percents are less than 100. Let me put there. This type of problem that we're going to talk about today is where the percents are greater than 100%. And in these, your mom takes a bag of Skittles and pours them on the table. But before you get a chance to separate them, your dad comes home from work and pours another bag of Skittles on the table. And so the amount increases, and maybe he got like a bigger bag than your mom got. So there's the original amount plus there's more, right? There's 100% plus what we call the increase. Increase is that word. Okay? The problems that we're going to be working on today, we're going to be talking specifically about the increase. And let me give you a story besides the Skittles. Let me give you John's story so that we can look in context. To their dismay, the townspeople found that the rodent population had increased 140%. If the rodent population had been 400 before, what was the rodent population now? Okay, Skittles is a much cuter example, but we're going to talk about rodents increasing in population, all right? So it's this kind of a situation because they're increasing in population. That's how we know to draw the picture this way. The original amount of rats was 400, and that represented 100%, right? Because the beginning always represents 100%. Now, it increased 140%. We know that this, the toddler baby Jesus part, or just baby Jesus, sorry, that represents the original amount. That's the 100% that was there before, right? That's why I make that circle look kind of like the other circle so that you can imagine, okay, that's the amount we started with. But there's an increase. And we want to find the amount of the increase. And we know that the increase, it says they increased 140%. Okay? So, we're trying to figure out how many rats. Does it say rats? It says rodents, but let's be honest. We know it's rats, right? Okay, there are two ways to work this problem. I'm going to show you the way that I think most students grasp more quickly. So I'm going to start with what seems to be the easier way to look at it. And then I'm going to show you another way that's a little bit of a shortcut, but some students listen to that and go, I don't understand. So as long as you understand one of them, you're fine. But I want to show them both to you because, different brains. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to find out how many rats they had in the end. So this is a classic frickin' formula. We will take we need to take 240%, right? Because it's the amount we had plus the increase. And we know that the increase was 140% because John told us so in the story. He said the rodent population had increased 140%. So in order to get the total percent of this ending group, we have to add those two together. Okay? And again, the picture helps us identify that. This is the original 100%, and then this is the increase. So we add them. We use this percent, 240, over 100. Now I'm using the formula, times the of group. Oh, that's 400. I'm going to put it over 1, equals the is group, and I'm just going to call it X, right? That's the whole thing. Oh, this is the fun kind because all the numbers are on one side already. So we can do that. Well, we're left with 4 here, 1 down here. We only have 1s in the denominator, so we know we're done. 240 times 4. Let's go ahead and multiply that. 0, 6. Did you get the same as me? Okay, so what we calculated is that the total number of rodents that we have in the end is 960, but this is not the answer. I know I put a box around it. I shouldn't have done that. The answer is what is the increase? What was the rodent? Oh no, it says what was the rodent population now? Okay, so this is the right answer. All right, if we wanted to know the increase in rodents, I'm going to say rats. We could find that as the amount we have now minus the amount we started with. And that would be 560 would be the increase, right? John did not ask us in this problem to find it. He asked us to find how many rodents we had now. So this problem I'm just showing you one way. I'm sorry. I thought it was I think the second one will be more like what we want. No. Okay, beautiful. Does this make sense to you? We take the increased amount and we add it to the starting amount, right? There's the starting amount and the increase. All right, let's try another one. The number of cheering fans increased from 60 to 240. Okay, 60 cheering fans to 240 total cheering fans. This number, the 240, represents the 100% plus the increase, whatever that was. It said what and it went up to 240. Okay, so what is the percentage increase? Okay, this is the one I'm going to work 2 ways. This is example 80.2. Okay, first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find I'm not going to try and describe it. Okay, we don't know the percentage. So it's P over 100, right? Let me write this up here. P over 100 times of equals is. I expect that to be on every page that you need it, right? So you practice writing it. Times the original group, I'll put it over 1, equals the special group is, which is 240. Again, over 1 to make it in the fraction. Now what I want to do is multiply by the reciprocal. I want to cancel these, so I'm going to do, I'll write it over here. It's kind of crowded. 100 on the top, 60 on the bottom. Now the 60s cancel and the 100s cancel. P is left by itself. This I have to multiply by 100 over 60 to keep it in balance. 60 goes into 240 4 times. So what that means is that our percentage, the total percentage of this group equals 400%, right? We went from 60 to 240. That represents a total of 400%. That's not the increase. That's the actual total. So the increase is the 400% minus the 100% that we started with, or 300% is the increase, okay? Not the ending percentage, but the increase. All right? That is the easiest way for most students to understand. multiply the percentage of the whole thing, and then subtract out the 100% because that represents what we already had, right? There's another way to do this that's a little bit faster. And in that way, what we would do in this problem, for example, we would take the 240, what is this even? Oh, it's the cheering fans. It increased, okay? This is the 240 minus the 60. So this is the number that we finish with, and this is the number that we start with. So that tells us that we increased, whoops. We calculate the increase number instead of the 240 that represents everyone. We could break this down. Here, let me just draw it again so I don't confuse the drawings. If we originally had 60 and we ended up with a total of 240, that would represent our original 60 plus 180. That would be the increase. Remember, these are not percents at all. I'll write the percents out here, right? Okay, so we started with 60, and then we went up to a total of 240, which represents the original 60 plus another 180, gives us a total of 240 cheering fans. Now, in terms of the percent, instead of calculating it on the 240, which is what we did here, we're just going to calculate it based on the increase. So we will go P over 100 times the original group, 60 over 1, equals not 240, but 180 over 1. We'll do the same work here. We'll multiply by the reciprocal. On both sides. This all cancels, yay. 60 goes into 180 3 times, right? One's on the bottom, we're done. 3 times 100 equals 300 is the percent of the increase. And look, that's the very same answer we got there. So what that tells us is either strategy will work. What we did here is we found the percent of the whole ending group and we subtracted 100%. That's what we did right there. Here, we adjusted the numbers and we said, let's not use the 240. Let's subtract out the original amount. And that means that's just 180 is the increase that we're so interested in. And then we did our calculation on the increase rather than the whole group. This is easier to understand. This is a little faster. As long as you can follow one or the other, I'm perfectly happy. And that, my lovely students, is the end of lesson 80. Good luck with this one. We'll talk about it in the homework. The calculation isn't hard. It's just kind of hard to wrap your head around the words. I understand that. So we will discuss. Goodbye, my darling students.